All right, and we are live. Hello, everybody. I hope you guys had a great day. What a action-packed day. That's probably the worst way to put it. Action-packed. What a day of events. Let me put it like that. So tonight's live stream is really going to revolve around Daunte Wright and Minneapolis ensuing riots, which are probably going to take place tonight. But as I watch the body cam, and as I let people come into this live stream, I just want to say this for everybody who's watching this after the fact. After I watched the body cam, I should say, after I watched the body cam, it became obvious to me that this was it was a mistake, but that does not mean that this officer should be left off the hook. So after I looked at it, this is what I've concluded. The officer made a mistake and the officer should be fired. There is no way I believe that the officer is going to be charged with murder or manslaughter. I honestly think the only remedy for this situation is a lawsuit and officer terminated. So that's like me spilling the bag before I get any further. But obviously the situation is beyond sad. The suspect, Daunte Wright, he was wrong, but also we have to take into account that the officer shot him on accident, and we shouldn't be killing people on accident. So as we dive into the footage, as we look into some articles, I just want that to be known up front that honestly, I believe that the officer should be fired. Because if you make a mistake that takes someone's life, then you are not competent for the job. When you say taser, 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 and then you deploy a firearm, I don't think you're competent for the job. So with that said, those are some of my takeaways as before we really get started with the live stream. So Paulo Hernandez, what's up, my dude? This is what happens when police aren't properly trained. Yeah, I mean, hey, there was a clear lack of training, lack of focus. I don't know what it was. We don't know if it's a lack of training or a lack of focus. We honestly don't know, because I was listening to the conference earlier, and they say they put the taser on the non-dominant side, and they put the firearm on the dominant side. So I don't know how this woman gets mixed up. I'm pretty sure it's a female officer. I don't know how she gets mixed up and thinks she's deploying a taser, or in her head she wants to shoot a taser, but then she shoots a firearm. And even though it is a proclaimed mistake, and I am going to believe the officer at her word, and we're going to look at the footage, because the footage shows that everyone there is surprised. Like taser, 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 and then boom, shots get fired, and everybody is there looking like, what the heck just happened? I thought you said taser. But as we're gonna see, the taser was not deployed. So, you have a good point, Polo. You really do. It could be a lack of training, could be a lack of focus. Whatever it is, I'm gonna stand by my conclusion, which is my opinion, that the officer should be fired. The officer should be terminated tomorrow, because in the end of the day, if you make a mistake that takes someone's life, then a repercussion that you should have is at least you be terminated. With that said, we're going to see how it plays out, because obviously there is an internal investigation that has to go forward. But, overall, it's a sad situation. We're going to talk about Daunte Wright's decision to resist, which obviously, if you've watched my channel at all, as soon as I see or we see resistance, we kind of like, what are you doing? But it's not that clear cut here, because the officer verbally and outwardly showed, oh shoot, this was a mistake. And like I've said, which I'll reiterate one more time, mistakes that take people's lives, they need to be handled. So Polo says, Yes, she was female. If an officer isn't capable of distinguishing a light taser versus a heavy firearm, that's a major problem. Yes, that is a major problem. I'm not even going to disagree with that. That is a major problem, which is why this officer should be terminated, because a mistake that takes someone's life deserves some consequences. I don't believe this is a crime. I don't believe she committed a crime because there was no intent there. But I do believe that she was clearly overtaken by the moment. She was not able to respond to the moment in clarity of thought, which is why she pulled and thought she was shooting a taser when indeed she's shooting a gun. Ultimately, we're not going to know everything that's running through her head, but from looking at the film, looking at the body cam, it just seems to me that it's a mistake, and it's a god awful mistake, because at the end of the day, you know, my bias, if you haven't noticed, I do have a pro police bias, and I'm not afraid to say that. I am for the police. I think defunding the police is the most ridiculous and absurd idea that I've heard in a long time. Abolishing the police, I'm not with that. I'm back to blue. I'm all that good stuff. But honestly, here, because this was a mistake, as admitted by the police officer, and everything that's being reported is this was a mistake. Because of that, you know, um, I can't back inadequacy, and I can't back mistakes that take people's lives without seeing some sort of consequence. So as you guys are jumping in, make sure you guys hit that like button, drop a comment below. Make sure you guys share some of my other content. If you're new to the channel, how's it going? Make sure you guys join the journey to 1,000 subs. I am on Patreon if you want to be a supporter of the channel. Also PayPal and Cash App. But more importantly, guys, join the journey to 1K subs. Make sure you like, comment, share, subscribe, all that good stuff, because we got new commentary, new content every week. And I'm looking forward to growing the channel with you guys. All right, attached with me. But let's go ahead and dive into this story. So the first thing I want to do is I want to look at the actual body cam, because the body cam tells us the best story. So we're going to watch the body cam. All right. We're going to let it play in its entirety first, and then we'll go back and look at it second. All right. So we're going to watch it in its entirety, let it play all the way through uninterrupted, and then we will dive back through it. And I'll give some of my comments, and you guys feel free, please drop comments as well, so we can have a dialogue, a discussion about what you're seeing, about what I'm seeing. So with that said, guys, make sure you your eyes are aware of what's going on, so that you could drop a comment and maybe we can have a good dialogue. But with that out the way, let's go ahead and watch this body cam. All right, I mean, so there it is. You guys see it. They come up, they detain Daunte Wright. He then starts resisting. He jumps back in the car. They're trying to detain the man. They know that they're in a struggle at this point. So the obvious deadly force that could be used right away is a gun, but I think they had the right thinking with wanting to deploy the taser, which is why we heard taser, 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 which then a taser was not deployed. Gunshots then followed this little interaction. And if you guys look at the looks of the faces of some of the police officers that are there, I mean, this guy looks stunned. Like, what the heck happened? We said taser. He's over here like, what? I mean, they're both of them are lost right now. I thought we said taser, and now the officer that pulled the trigger, she says, "Oh shoot, I shot him." To me, that doesn't sound like a person that was looking to shoot and kill somebody. It really seems to me that there was a huge lapse in focus, a huge lapse, a huge mistake, because this doesn't look like, these people don't give me the vibe of, okay, we're going to kill you if you mess up the first time. To me, it looks like these officers were ready to, go up the ladder of force. Okay, we're gonna use a taser. Then maybe after that we use the gun. But right now they're not giving me the energy of police officers that are gonna go straight to the gun. So breaking it down one more time. All right, breaking it down one more time. Make sure you guys drop some comments. What do you guys see? All right, do you guys agree? Do you disagree? Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. So right here, I mean, honestly, at this point, you gotta look, you gotta look at the resistance and say, you just gotta be thinking, why are you going to resist like this? Why not just go to jail? So the police officer made a huge mistake, but Daunte Wright made a huge mistake as well, because it just doesn't make sense to me that he would just start fighting the police like 15 seconds into the interaction. So yes, there's blame that could go with the police officers, but if you guys look at this with me, I mean, you got to ask yourself, why are you doing this? Why are you resisting? Why don't you just get arrested and get in the cop car and live to fight another day? Taser, 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 but you got a freaking 9mm pointing right at this guy's chest. Oh shoot, I shot him. That is not what you want to be hearing from police officers. I mean, and like I pointed out before, stunned, and I could imagine the look on her face. Holy crap, did I make a mistake?
Can you turn the lights back on, please? As you can hear, the officer, while struggling with Mr. Wright, shouts, "Taser, taser," several times. That is part of the officer's training prior to deploying a taser, which is a less lethal device. That is done to make her partners aware, as well as the subject, that a taser deployment will be imminent. During this encounter, however, the officer drew their handgun instead of their taser. For informational purposes, we train with our handguns on our dominant side and our taser on our weak side. So if you're right-handed, you carry your firearm on your right side and you carry your taser on the left. This is done.
I mean, he's about to say this is done purposefully, and I understand the logic, but my logic is different. Like if you want a sequence of force, I mean, it would just make sense to me that you put the taser on the dominant side. So that's the first thing you reach for. And then you put the gun on the non-dominant side, because you have to process in your mind just a little bit more, your weak side versus your strong side. And I think that processing could help eliminate situations like this, because I mean, it's like second nature. I'm reaching my right hand all day. Like I'm used to that. That's second nature, just using my right hand and grabbing something. My left hand, I think in the training, and obviously I'm not a chief, I'm not a police officer, but if I would just like to think, why not put the lesser lethal weapon on your strong side? So that's the first one you might reach for, and then put the more deadly weapon on your weak side. I mean, you know what? I'm probably not saying anything that would help anything anyways. I'm just saying those are my initial thoughts as I watched this video. So I'm just over here being transparent with you guys, but let's finish listening to Tim Gannon.
Purposefully and is trained. As I watch the video and listen to the officer's commands, it is my belief that the officer had the intention to deploy their taser, but instead shot Mr. Wright with a single bullet.
And honestly, I believe that as well. Let me know what you guys think. Do you guys think that the officer made a mistake, or do you think that it was intentional, and then she tried to cover up the mistake by saying, "Oh crap, I shot him"? I personally think it was a mistake, because to me it sounded like a genuine response to something that wasn't meant to happen this way. It wasn't meant to happen this way, which is why everybody looks stunned. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section below.
This appears to me, from what I've viewed and the officer's reaction and distress immediately after, that this was an accidental discharge that resulted in the tragic death of Mr. Wright. I have asked the BCA to conduct an independent investigation into the shooting and death. Once they are completed, I expect they will submit their findings, independent of me, to the appropriate authorities, the appropriate attorneys that will look and review this case. I'm also stressing that I do hope for the community to be patient and allow this criminal investigation, to be completed as thoroughly as possible. I believe Mr. Wright deserves this, as do all involved.
So with all that said, like he said, he believes that this was an accidental discharge. All right. So an accidental discharge, obviously it was an accident. That is what the police chief is saying. That's what I gather when I watch it. I think 99 out of 100 people who watch that, it's probably too much. I think 80 people out of 100 that watch this tape would walk away with, I'm leaning towards it was a mistake. Nonetheless, I think mistakes still require consequences. The chief said that they're going to do he said they're going to do a criminal investigation. There's no criminality here. There's no criminality. If anything, we have an incompetent police officer. The moment was too big. The resistance was too much, and she made a bad mistake. So at the most, I think this officer should be fired, and that the Wright family should be compensated, to the tune of whatever George Floyd got, because this actually looks like more injustice than George Floyd, and George Floyd got $27 million. So, I think that is the only remedy here is a civil lawsuit. The Wright family needs to go claim their money, and the officer needs to be fired. And the Brooklyn Center Police Department needs a complete revamping. Guys, we can't make this mistake. We can't do this. If we say taser, we can't shoot the person. So, unfortunately, I don't think there's not going to be a criminal charge against this officer. I mean, if you disagree with me, tell me why. Please do. But I don't see criminality in this case. I see an incompetent worker. And unfortunately, it took the life of a young man who put himself in that situation. Now, don't miss that point. If he wouldn't have resisted, he would still be alive also. So there's two people to blame here. Daunte Wright, why are you resisting the police? Live to fight another day. Officer, why are you going to say taser and then shoot the man? There's enough blame to go around. All right, so let's jump into some of these comments. Polo said, a bad thing is that with the Chauvin trial still active, it'll just make the situation with riots even worse. Yes. All right. It's going to make the situation worse. This is if you're in Minnesota, by Minnesota, around Minnesota, no family in Minnesota, get the heck out of Minneapolis, Minnesota. Get out of there, because there's just too much. There's too much negativity and evil right now circulating through that city. So at the end of the day, Chauvin has a very good chance of being acquitted on all charges, especially murder. Murder, if he gets charged for murder, I would be surprised. Manslaughter, I still see the door open for manslaughter, but at the end of the day, I think murder, he's off, he's free, he's moving on. Max, he might get 10 years. From everything that I've seen, the defense has raised immense reasonable doubt. So there's so much reasonable doubt that the jury is just staring at it. And I think the jury is just going to have to make a decision. Do we succumb to the reasonable doubt or do we reject it? Because to say there's no reasonable doubt there, to say, 100% the prosecution has proven that Chauvin killed Floyd. No, they haven't. No, the video didn't. There's a trial for a reason. So, everybody who wants to conclude, this is a slam dunk case. No, sir, slow down. There's going to be a lot of people whose bubbles are bursted when Chauvin walks free, either completely acquitted or definitely exonerated of murder charges. All right, jumping back into the comments, Uber says the police officer girl probably drinking heavy. Yeah, bro. No, it's sad. It's sad. I couldn't imagine being a police officer and killing someone on accident. Now, I could imagine killing somebody on purpose. Like, you stepped at a line, I shot him. I deployed my weapon. Maybe I go through a couple, sleepless nights living through that. But at the end of the day, I meant to do that. This right here is, I didn't mean to do that. And I killed someone. I killed a 20-year-old. So, yeah, I cannot imagine how distraught the officer is, which if you're just getting in, I fully support the officer being terminated because I think the officer showed inadequacy to serve the public. If you kill somebody on accident, then you shouldn't be in a line of duty where you are wielding weapons that could take somebody's life. All right. Polo says they'll likely put her in the same situation as Derek Chauvin, even though he was resisting and it was an accident on her side. It won't matter to them. Yeah, honestly, I think it's completely different, to be honest. Derek Chauvin, at least we see the video, he was kneeling on George Floyd. This woman shot one shot. She shot one shot, discharged her weapon one time, and then was like, oh, shoot, I shot him. Not like, yeah, I shot him. She was like, oh, crap, I shot him. So, to me, this has no resemblance of Derek Chauvin and George Floyd case, because that's way more, to me, that's way more complicated than this. This right here is not complicated at all. This is, there's fault on both sides. The officer should be terminated. The Wright family should be compensated. And Daunte Wright shouldn't have been resisting the way he was resisting. which falls on deaf ears now because the young man is dead. I mean, the only thing we could pull away from it is, hey, if you're in that situation, if I'm in that situation, do not resist. And I'm not saying that as a, oh, you deserve to die if you resist. I'm saying, guys, if you get caught up by the police, just stop. Don't resist. Try to live to fight another day. That's what I'm going to do. That's what I'm pulling away from all these things. Stop resisting, because resisting makes it worse. And again, I am not saying Daunte Wright deserved to die. He did not deserve to die. But at the end of the day, you got to look at it like, what are you doing to either help or hurt the situation? And the young man did enough to hurt the situation. And then you compound that with an inadequate officer, and you have a freaking mess on your hands, like what we see. All right. Arlene says, all this shows how poorly trained cops are all over the United States. And this is nothing new. It's been going on for years. Obviously this case could easily be a lack of training, but I don't even know if it's a lack of training, to be honest. Like, how do you know it's a lack of training? I mean, the police chief explicitly said, we just listened to him. He said, officers put their gun on their dominant side and they put their taser on their non-dominant side. So, it would seem to me muscle memory says do what you know the most, the fastest. So it's like muscle memory. I'm used to grabbing my right side. So to me, it's like she was trained to shoot the taser, but subconsciously she was reaching for her gun. I don't know if that's a training thing. I mean, to me, there's a reason why there's only one cop we've seen make this mistake thus far. Unless you guys could show me other videos, name another cop who said taser, 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 and then shot someone. I mean, that is a big mistake. That's not something that you're saying that this is not new, Arlene, but hear me out. Where have we seen that before? I'm not used to seeing that. I'm used to people just getting shot. I'm not used to people saying, I'm going to tase you, and then boom, you get shot. I'm used to you're going to get shot, then you get shot. So, yes, the cops failed. And that's what I will say, Arlene. The cops failed. The cop failed in this moment. All right, Polo also says, I watched him being interviewed earlier today. The journalists were clearly trying to gaslight him for the officers using tear gas against the protests that happened. Arlene then goes on to say, the only reason why all this is coming to light is because cops are forced to wear body cameras, and there are cameras everywhere, which is a good thing. Now, something that we have to applaud is the Brooklyn Center Police Department. They released the body cam today. This incident happened yesterday. They released it within 24 hours of the event to the public, which is a testament to transparency. Because if they would have held it, then obviously it would have looked like something shady here. Why aren't they showing the body cam? But to their credit, they took it, they reviewed it, they said, you know what, it is what it is. We got to show the public. And they're to me, they're not hiding anything. So cameras are a good thing, which is why every officer needs to be wearing a camera, because they are accountable to us. They are accountable, and the only way to really have true accountability is if it's filming, because if it's not filming, then it's their word versus ours. All right. Big Yulmi, a mistake, but there is no reason but there is no reason a police officer should not know the difference between a taser and a gun. I 100%. Even as a civilian, I have taken combat pistol training classes. You must know how to handle your weapon during high stress adrenaline situations. I mean, that hits the nail on the head. At the end of the day, what are you doing? My camera just went out. Let me see if I could Hey, it's my front camera. Let me see if I could get you guys. I just hit the freaking my table and shook everything. There we go. That's more like it. Can everybody hear me? I'm going to assume you guys can hear me. Let me just make sure that my mic is set up the right way before I continue. All right. Yeah, my mic is set up. So I need to stop hitting this cheap table. But the point that I was just saying, I'm just reiterating because she made an amazing point. How do you make that mistake? I mean, I'm just sitting here like, gosh, why? Why did you come to this situation and make that mistake? All right, Polo says definitely a taser is mostly plastic and electronics. A pistol is made of heavy carbon and holding brass bullets inside. That is a major mistake to make. I mean, yeah, which is why the officer should be terminated. This should not be a police officer anymore. This should be a person who gets terminated from the squad and moves on. Moves on in another direction because policing is not for you. Polo also says, regardless, anti-police activists don't care. They'll ignore the facts that he was resisting, but may be angrier towards her because she is female, Latina, or Black. Antifa calls people of color police. That's a good, in identity politics, like what you are matters. When was the last time we saw a woman shoot and kill a Black person? It's always white cop kills Black man, white cop, Black man. But now we have, a woman? What's her race? Ouch. So it's going to be very interesting to see how that unfolds. But at the end of the day, there's going to be a lot of people who don't care. And yes, the young man was resisting, which is obviously wrong. But you have to also acknowledge that him resisting does not mean he should die from a mistake. Now, it would be one thing if the police officer meant to shoot the gun, then okay, I feel like we could have a different discussion and maybe we could say, okay, it's more justified because he got back in the car and was fighting. Okay, maybe that conversation holds a little bit more weight. But when you come out the gate and say it was an accident, no, well, if you're going to say you killed somebody on accident as a police officer, you need to go. You need to bounce. You can't serve us. All right, Sunshine, happy lady. Hello. Very tragic and sad. Tasers are kept on the opposite side of the body. They are not kept on the same side as the gun. You should know the difference between the feeling of a taser compared to a gun. I mean, that is slam dunk, hitting the nail on the head. That it is what it is. She should know the difference, which is why I'm going to say for the 10th time, she should be terminated. She should no longer be a cop. And the Brooklyn Center Police Department needs to regroup and say, guys, what the heck happened? How do we let this happen? What do we have to do to ensure this never happens again? Because we can't be making mistakes like this, not in this climate. Everybody's already sniffing our butt thinking we're systemically racist when we're not. And then when we make mistakes like this, it just looks so bad. It looks just as bad as Patrice Colors, the BLM co-founder, blowing millions of dollars. I mean, that looked bad, and I covered that in a previous video. If you haven't seen that, make sure you guys go ahead and check that video out. BLM co-founder Patrice Colors bought millions of dollars of real estate. That looks bad. This incident right here with Daunte Wright looks equally as terrible for those in the pro-cop community, for those who back the blue, for those who are about law and order. So obviously, I'm all of those things, but I can't look at this and say there's no excuses at this point. You killed someone on accident. Should be fired. All right. Uber says, let's all rejoice in knowing that the guy who killed the cop with the AR-15. Yeah, look, man, that story right there. If you didn't see that story, I covered that yesterday in a video. But the New Mexico incident where the cop pulls over a suspect in New Mexico, tells the suspect to get out the car, walk back to the police car, and then within 5 seconds, and I showed this in the video, within 5 seconds, the suspect goes from walking to the car to blasting this officer 7 times with an AR-15 at about a 6-foot distance, leaving the man dead in the side of the road. I mean, yes, all right. It's you know, honestly, I don't know, Uber. That guy might still be alive, so we don't know what the outcome of that is yet. All right, so Sunshine Happy Lady says the female officer is not capable of being in highly stressful situations. Is that sexist? I'm just kidding. All right. She is not emotionally and mentally able to be a police officer due to she cannot think clearly under high stress. She clearly can't think under high stress. I mean, all of us know gun here, taser here, gun has lead in it, gun has bullets in it, gun is heavier than a taser, yet you're going to pull the deadly weapon out first. Come on. All right. So obviously she cannot think straight during high stress. Arlene says there are criminal charges that can be brought against someone who kills someone accidentally. It's called involuntary manslaughter. Yes. All right. I agree. I do agree. Involuntary manslaughter, but something that we have to take into account is if you look at Derek Chauvin, he's being charged with unintended manslaughter, second degree unintended manslaughter. Okay, if you read the statute of manslaughter in Minnesota, paraphrasing here, but it's something like you have to kill somebody while also committing a felony or a crime, or you have to have a depraved mind, meaning you're not really caring about someone's life and you kill them accidentally. This officer doesn't have that. Officer doesn't have depraved mind. Officer wasn't committing a felony. So maybe Arland, there can be some charges brought up, but I really don't think. I mean, we're sitting here actually saying, and I believe this, that Derek Chauvin has a good chance of being acquitted. If Derek Chauvin could be acquitted, which I support, of murder, at least murder, the most murder, 100%, I support him being acquitted of murder. Manslaughter, you know what? It's not up to me. It's up to the jurors. And I think I'll make my last decision on whether he's going to be guilty or not before the reading of the sentences. So I reserve my right to change my mind. But anyways, if Arlen, speaking to your point, we're sitting here saying Derek Chauvin has a good chance of being acquitted. How much more would this woman be acquitted if she was put up on charges? It was clearly a mistake. I mean, it was a mistake. It was a mistake. You can't prove intent. You can't prove she was committing a crime. She was in policy. In her mind, she was in policy. So the mind matters. She was thinking that she had the taser, but she shot him with the gun. I don't see how they come up with criminal charges, which is why I say the only remedies to this situation that I see is a civil lawsuit, get the right family, millions and millions of dollars. If George Floyd got 27, they should get 37. All right. And officers should be fired. That's it. That. Unfortunately, I think those are the only two remedies for this situation. We'll see what happens, but that's just where I'm at right now. All right. Regent said a friend of mine was T-boned and killed at an intersection by a female cop. Gosh, going 100 miles per hour to stop a bar fight. Holy crap. Man, I'm sorry to hear that, because that is, you know, I've been in car accidents before. Car accidents are no joke, and that's sad, but you know, these officers are people, guys. Like, they make mistakes. It's just that when they make a mistake, it's in front of the whole world, and it usually holds a lot of consequences. You know, it's like, you know, I'm a sports guy. When the quarterback makes a mistake, it's an interception. Okay. When The running back makes a mistake, he gets tackled for 1 yard, for a 1 yard gain. So it's like these people, when they make a mistake, their mistakes are amplified and magnified because they're under the gun. So they're people. They're people, guys. They're people. Regent says, yeah, it was crappy. It happens though. Yeah, man. I mean, there in Florida, in Tampa, Florida, there is so many wrong way drivers. It's insane. People are driving the wrong way on the interstate every month, smashing and killing people head on. It just doesn't make sense. But like you said, it happens. You know, it happens. So while I got you guys here, all right, make sure you guys join the journey to 1,000 subs. Make sure you hit that like button if you're enjoying the live stream. If you haven't joined the Conservative Republic channel family, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, guys. We are almost at 1,000 subs. And if you want to be a giver to the channel, I would greatly appreciate whatever is on your heart. You can find me on Patreon. You could find me on PayPal, and I am also on Cash App. So if you want to help support the channel fiscally, those are some ways you can do it. Any gift would be greatly appreciated. Thank you guys so much. Let's jump back into some of these comments. Sunshine Happy Lady. Problem is that we are more concerned about making quotas to satisfy identity politics instead of who is most qualified under high stress. Ding, ding, ding. You know, we don't have to have female officers. I mean, I was working, so I have a side hustle. My side hustle is refereeing. Okay. I referee flag football. I do basketball. I've done lacrosse. I do tackle football. Okay. That's how I make some extra money. I was sitting out last Friday night reffing a little league team, you know, and I'm so good at refereeing that I just do it like on autopilot. I'm just looking at the game. I know what I'm looking at. This female officer catches my attention. All right, Hillsborough County Sheriff. She's sitting in the stands. She's got nails on that are this long. All right, so she's got her nails done. They're really long, and I'm just looking at her like, I wonder if those nails would screw up her attempt to pulling her gun. I wonder if those nails would become a block or somewhat of a hindrance. And, you know, I don't care if I sound stupid right now. I'm just saying, to Sunshine Happy Lady's point, all these quotas and things, I want a qualified woman. I want a woman who knows when she's pulling the trigger or when she's pulling the taser. I want to know a woman. I want to have a woman serving my community that knows the difference between the two. So for me, it doesn't really, I don't care if it's a woman as long as she is qualified. And to push back a little bit, Sunshine Happy Lady, there are a lot of qualified women on the force. You know, this is one bad female officer who made a really bad mistake. A lot of female officers get down and they know what they're doing. So, you know, I support my female officers. But if you're going to fill spots because of identity politics, then yes, we have a problem, because it doesn't matter if you're a female. We have, oh, look, we have 20 male officers and 15 female officers now we've gotten a gold star to the woke leftists. No, that doesn't matter. That really doesn't matter. All right, D Charming says Daunte was being arrested on a gun charge warrant. Maybe she was stressed over that as well. I don't think they get any money. It was all his fault. So, you know, I respect your opinion. And I disagree on the last part. It was all his fault, because it's hard for, I can't say it was all his fault because the officer immediately took some blame. Oh, shoot, I didn't mean to do that, which means you shot a gun, not wanting to shoot a gun. That's your fault, which is why I would push back on you, D Charming, and say it's both of their faults. Daunte Wright was acting a fool, and the officer was not ready for the moment. All right, Uber says we got to get you to 10 million subs. My goodness, that would be amazing. 10 million subs. Yes, bro. one sub at a time, one video at a time, one piece of content created at a time, one night at a time. It is a process. All right, I'm all about the process. So you guys could definitely help me by sharing my content. Sharing my content to friends, family. If you're on Facebook, share it on Facebook. If you're on Twitter or any other platform, push some of my content out, because there is definitely, I know that there is a group of people who sees it how we're seeing it. And at the end of the day, I'm trying to seek truth and balance. So whoever those people are, that's who I want to be in the Conservative Republic family, to be subscribed from me, because that's what I'm going after. So thank you, Uber. 10 million subs would be amazing. All right. Riding around in a Bugatti with Gucci shades. Yes, that would be the life. Down here in Florida, hey, if you got money down here in Florida, you are living, because there is no state tax. All right. So Sunshine Happy Lady says, yes, long fingernails do infer with everything that you do, interfere with everything that you do. I mean, guys, it's just, to me, it's just not a good look. Like, don't wear long nails. If you're going to be an officer, do not wear long nails. That is just my opinion. You could throw it out if you want. Most people will. I'm just saying, because, just to reiterate for the people who are jumping in right now. All right. We've covered this. All right. And it is a short digestible clip, because it goes to crap super fast. So this is the last time I'm going to go over this, and I'm going to push on to another piece of content revolving this same story. All right. But they pull him over. Officers walk up to the car. All right. So I'm just reiterating this for the people who are just jumping in to the live stream. I mean, shoot, if you look at it right now, you're like, okay, he's gonna give himself up. They're gonna run the warrant. He had a warrant for somebody said in the chat for a gun charge. We got him. Let's go. And then in the course of seconds, just why are you gonna resist, bro? Why? I mean, what does he think is going to happen? I don't understand. I don't understand what he thinks is going to happen. Stunned. She's stunned. They're like, what the heck just happened? I thought you said taser. Yeah, I thought I said taser too. So, unfortunately, guys, this is a bad look for the police officers. Here's an article I wanted to go over with you guys, just for sake of getting the most up-to-date information. So this is coming to us from the New York Times. Whether you're sub to them or not, hey, they're just another news outlet to ingest. But I thought this was good, because the reason why I picked this one in particular was because it was published 10 minutes ago, or when I pulled it up 10 minutes ago. So, I'm thinking, okay, it has the most up-to-date information. So let's see what the story looks like as we push through. So, what to know about the police shooting of Daunte Wright? A police officer fatally shot Mr. Wright on Sunday in Brooklyn Center, Minnesota, about 10 miles from where Derek Chauvin on trial is Derek Chauvin in the killing of George Floyd. Man, I butchered that. All right, so article starts off by saying hundreds of demonstrators poured into the streets of Brooklyn Center, Minnesota on Sunday night after the fatal police shooting of Daunte Wright, a 20-year-old black man, during a traffic stop. The shooting injected more frustration and anxiety into the Twin City region, where the trial of Derek Chauvin, the former Minneapolis police officer charged with murdering George Floyd, is now in its third week. All right, so we get that. We've already covered that. the latest accounts of the shooting. According to Chief Tim Gannon of the Brooklyn Center Police Department, officers pulled Mr. Wright over on Sunday afternoon for a traffic violation related to expired registration tags. Officers then discovered that he had a warrant for his arrest. As the police tried to detain Mr. Wright, he stepped back into his car. No, he didn't step back into his car. All right. He did not step back into his car. He thrusted himself back into the car. New York Times. He violently resisted to get back into the car. All right. Maybe if not violent, he aggressively. How about that word? He aggressively resisted and got back into the car, prompting a brief struggle with officers. All right. So the officers are struggling with the person who has a warrant out for their arrest. In graphic body camera footage shown to reporters on Monday, one officer can be seen pointing a handgun at him, shouting, "Taser." After the car pulls away, the officer yells an obscenity and says, "I just shot him," to two other officers, according to the video. The car traveled several blocks and then struck another vehicle. The police and medical workers pronounced Mr. Wright dead at the scene. On Monday, the Hennepin County medical examiner concluded that Mr. Wright died of a gunshot wound of the chest, and the manner of death is homicide. It is my belief that the officer had the intention to deploy their taser, but instead shot Mr. Wright with a single bullet. Chief Gannon said at a news conference, "This appears to me, from what I viewed and the officer's reaction and distress immediately after, that this was an accidental discharge that resulted in a tragic death of Mr. Wright." Court records indicate that a judge issued a warrant for Mr. Wright earlier this month after he missed a court appearance. He was facing 2 misdemeanor charges after the Minneapolis police said he had carried a pistol without a permit and had run from officers last June. All right, so he has gun charges. Chief Gannon did not identify the officer who fired her gun, saying she was put on administrative leave. All right, and here is a picture just showing, hey, this is where Daunte Wright was shot and killed. This is where George Floyd was killed. And this is where the Derek Chauvin trial is happening. So as you guys could see, Minneapolis is, it's just it's going to be a hot spot for probably the rest of the year at this point. All right. He said the Minnesota Bureau of Criminal Apprehension, the agency investigating, would release the names of the officers involved. Katie Wright, who identified herself as the victim's mother, told reporters that her son had been driving a car that his family had given him 2 weeks ago, and he had called her as he was getting pulled over. He said they pulled him over because he had air fresheners hanging from his rearview mirror, she said. She added that her son had been driving with his girlfriend when he was shot. The police said a woman in the car had injuries from the crash that were not life-threatening. Miss Wright said her son had dropped or put the phone down, after which she heard scuffling and an officer telling Mr. Wright not to run. Then she said someone hung up. When she called back, her son's girlfriend answered and told her that he had been shot. So, that's basically that is what we know at this point. And I think what we know is enough. And as you guys could see, this article was published at 8:01 today. So, with that said, it is what it is at this point. Like it is a messed up situation. And, grieving for the ones lost, to me, is the appropriate response. Demanding justice is an appropriate response. But I'll tell you what's not an appropriate response: rioting and looting and destroying your own city. And then for the ones who are in the autonomous zone that aren't even from Minneapolis, Minnesota, get the heck out of there. Stop trying to police a city that's not yours. Stop trying to be a domestic terrorist in a city that's not yours. So all of these things, yes, we should be heartbroken. Yes, we should be saddened. Yes, we should acknowledge that Daunte Wright resisted the cops and he brought some of this on himself. But we should also acknowledge the officer admitted that she made a mistake and she should have consequences for that mistake, which I have said should be termination. And ultimately, the Wright family needs to settle out of court. So jumping back into the comments, Regent said, let me see if there's anybody else before Regent. All right, Regent said it looked like everything was going well at the start. Yeah, that's how it goes. That's how it goes, man. It goes so fast that you think it's going good in 1 minute, and then the next, or 1 second, then the next second, it's not good. So, yep, serious tunnel vision. Yes. And by tunnel, when you have tunnel vision, you also lack awareness. So clearly lack of awareness. Arlene says also she is saying taser, 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 but had she looked down at her hand and she is getting ready to pull the trigger, she would have noticed that she has in her hand, that what she has in her hand is not a taser, but a gun. I mean, yeah, you can't argue with that point. Sunshine Happy Lady, when will people learn not to resist police officers? If they would just stay calm and follow orders, they would still be alive. So sad and tragic. And, you know, I agree with you as well. If we would just take direction, comply, your chance, I'm not going to say, oh, it's 100% slam dunk, something bad is not going to happen to you. But to me, it's like percentages. If you resist, your percent of being hurt and dying rises. If you resist, if you don't resist, it lowers. So, you know, if we want to play the game of probabilities, why don't we make choices that lower our chances of dying instead of making choices that increase our chance of dying? I mean, you know, I know that's some serious common sense right there, but you know, that's just where I'm at with people resisting the police. All right, Loco Quid Pro says, except it won't be U.S. military, it'll be UN military. Yeah, so you know, I wanna show you guys, you know, I want to show you guys yesterday's video, because this point right here, for those who are still for those who are still tuned in, this piece right here shows how fast a situation can change. Because someone wrote in the comments, it looked like this was going good. You know, he was going to get arrested, and then out of nowhere things changed, and it went from, okay, we're going to arrest him, we're going to take him down easy, to, you know, a gun being shot. So I'm looking for a specific incident that I showed you guys yesterday, because it's just really telling about how fast things happen. I mean, I got it right here. All right, I'm gonna show you guys, and I want to make sure you guys definitely see this part. All right, I want you guys to see this part, because I have to let you know that this is graphic. All right, this is graphic, and you know, you don't see this. This is, you know, everybody wants to talk about, oh, white person killing black person, but look at what the police officers are subjected to every day. This is a possibility. So warning, the following video content is graphic. All right, so what we have here, I'm just going to let it play for a little bit so you guys can capture this for yourself. All right, if you're just jumping in, make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you guys hit that like button, drop a comment. All right, and let's go ahead and look at this. All right, so the officer gets out. Officer is coming up to the Chevy truck on the passenger side so that he doesn't put himself in harm's way.
Afternoon, sir. My name is Darren Jarrett. I'm with New Mexico State Police. The reason for the stop is your window tint's a little too dark. Yeah. You mind if I open the door?
All right, and he tells him right away, your window tints are a little too dark.
The window more. Dark? Yeah. I know you got temp tags. You got registration for the vehicle? Yes, sir. I'll need registration and driver's license as well. Right. Okay. All right. Do you have insurance for the vehicle? Yeah. Where is it? Is it with the wallet? Do me a favor. Come with me to my vehicle. That way I can run your name and date of birth, and then that way I can get my return. Okay.
All right, so the officer, you hear him saying, come to the vehicle so I can run your date of birth and get a return. All right, so the officer tells him to come. All right, so we're at 121. All right, so let's fast forward a little bit. He's still at 224. He's still at the passenger side talking to the suspect. All right, at 3 minutes, he's still talking to the suspect. All right, and then at 310, all right, at 310, the door swings open, and now the suspect is getting out of the white Chevy. Now, the whole time, the guy, they're having casual dialogue, what you would expect from somebody pulling an officer pulling somebody over.
Wait, real quick. You have firearm money? Yeah. No, I see it in your waist. Do me a favor. You mind if I take it off you for my safety? All right, hold on. All right, let's go to my vehicle, okay? Come on.
All right, and you see right here, the guy on the driver's side, he comes out with an AR-15. The officer has no idea what's going on, and I want you guys to look at the time, because this is the reality for the officers every time they step out their house. 3:29. All right, look at how many seconds pass. He thinks he's in a decent situation. He has no idea his life is in danger. Watch how things drastically change in 4 seconds.
Oh shit!
My goodness. And then you hear the rounds being popped off.
Oh shit!
1. I mean, I counted 6, 7 shots. Good goodness. This is sad.
Oh shit!
Man, I hope this guy gets caught. Man. I mean, I can't even say on YouTube what I wish would happen to that guy. Drives off. Who the heck knows where he's at this point? So that is what the officers have to go through. All right. That is why I'm pro police. That is why I look at them as heroes. That is why I give them the benefit of the doubt. That is why I back the blue, because every single day they go and serve their community. They are putting their lives on the line, because the officer doesn't know who's who. You don't know who's who. In a regular situation, we're all just kind of walking around wondering who's the good guy, who's the bad guy, who's acting normal, who's not. We don't know who's who. And the officers are in a situation every single time they step out of their house. They don't know where the next threat is going to come from. This officer in New Mexico clearly believed that his life was going to continue because he wasn't acting in a way where he was overly suspicious. And unfortunately, it took his life. The lack of awareness to the situation. He was caught. Honestly, he was caught with his guard down, and that it's just sad to see. All right, so looking at some of these comments, so Regent says, well, let me jump up to somebody else. Alex Bleepin Jones said, bottom line is, if folks stop resisting, this would be a non-issue. I agree. If Daunte Wright wouldn't have resisted, he would still be here. All right, Regent says, if people thought that the assaults on U.S. police were high, just wait until there's actual redcoats out there walking around. Okay. Loco agreed. How in the world do cops have a taser and a gun that are designed the same way with a trigger? All right, Sunshine Happy Lady says, innocent people always get hurt when people riot and loot. Bad behavior and criminal behavior is never the answer nor the solution. More tragedy is never the answer. Stop the criminal insanity now. And obviously that is what we have to call for. Stop rioting and looting. You're doing nothing but destroying your own community and destroying people's livelihoods. I mean, think about every time somebody's business gets ramshacked and looted. That is loss of inventory, loss of business hours, insurance claim, and then the time that they have to wait for all of that stuff to be put back in its right order. So loss of business overall, which is a loss of livelihood. Stop destroying people's livelihood that had nothing to do with this situation. Protest, protest the police. Yes, demand justice for Daunte Wright. Yes. But to go ramshack somebody else's life because you're unhappy with what a police officer did, it's just the essence of ignorance. And there's a saying that has been said, "Oh, riots are the voice of the unheard," by MLK. That's not true anymore. That's not true. In 2021, in 2020, what we saw, in 2016, what we saw, in 2013, and what we saw, riots were the voice of the lawless. All right. So when people, if you talk to people and they say, oh, and they try to justify riots with the MLK quote, oh, riots were the voice of the unheard. Say, yeah, that was true when he said it in the 1960s, but in 2021, in the 21st century, actually, riots are the voice of the lawless. Yeah, D Charming says Biden didn't address this. I mean, what does Biden address? I mean, his presidency is like so not entertaining, and he has all the wrong antidotes. Oh, gun control. Nah, bro, gun control is not going to do anything. If anything, if you try to stop people from owning guns, you're just going to flood more guns into the street because you can't stop this. This has been, centuries in the making. Guns are here to stay. The government doesn't have any authority to take our guns. Like, it's just, there's nothing that Biden can do. So Biden didn't address this. He's probably sleeping or falling downstairs or tripping over his dog. Or I don't know what the man is doing, but he's not being a president. He's president in title, but in all seriousness, he's a senile person who should be in a healthcare facility. That is what he is. So of course, D Charming, he's not addressing this because he can address this. Those are his constituents. Those are the people that voted him in. So why is he going to talk bad about the people rioting and looting? Or if he does say anything about it, he's not going to say anything serious. I want you guys to stop. I want you guys, what? So, of course, they're not going to say anything. All right. They are not going to say anything. And if they do say anything, I really don't care what they have to say at this point. We know what they are. Like, there's nothing to say at this point. We know what you are. Kamala Harris was the same one who said the riots aren't going to stop. It's not going to stop. They're going to keep going. Ayanna Pressley, another congresswoman, for the the Democratic Party. Oh, it's not going to stop. It's not going to stop. She was saying crap like that, but it's not going to stop. It's just going to be a replay of what we saw last year. All right. The last thing I'm gonna go over with you guys. I'm not even going to read this. I just want to show you guys some pictures and just give you, the obvious context of what's been going on in Minnesota, since last year. Photos, protests over George Floyd's death escalate into violence and destruction. Oh my goodness. All right. So think about a city who can't operate its usual commerce for over a year because this is what your streets look like. All right. You have a bunch of people thinking they're trying to secure justice when really they're just screwing up other people's lives by not allowing businesses to function. They're disturbing the peace. All right. They're stacking up Target shopping carts. They have police officers on the roofs because people are going crazy. Officers are ready to go because it's crowd control at this point. Buildings are being burned to the ground. People look on as construction site burns in a large fire on Wednesday in Minneapolis. So this was last year. All right, a man carries items past a burnt AutoZone store in Minneapolis on Thursday. All right, so he got away with a whole bunch of things. He probably flipped it, made a couple $100. All right, protesters upset. Everybody's in a state of shock, mourning. All of these things have gripped Minnesota for over a year now, guys. But you know what? These people don't care. This is the end result. This is what it's going to be in Minnesota. So, unfortunately, guys, it is a shame of a situation. The officer made a mistake. With that said, the officer should be held accountable for her mistake. And I think I'm going to leave that there. I'll go through a couple more comments and then we can wrap up this live stream. Thank you guys for joining me again. You guys are really a pleasure to dialogue with. Make sure you guys join the journey to 1,000 subs. I really appreciate your guys' support over the months. Sunshine Happy Lady says David Dorn would still be alive if they did not riot, loot, murder. So tragic. David Dorn lost. I mean, that exactly. I mean, a man who was literally an outstanding citizen in his community gets killed because of a riot. Black Lives Matter don't care about him. Patrice Con artist Colors, she's too busy buying $1 million estates to care about David Dorn. So overall, it is tragic. Your personal actions should never cause any kind of harm or hurt to other people. Yeah, I agree. We have to be aware of what we're doing, especially to the extent to where you cause somebody else harm. I mean, no matter what you're doing, we have to be aware of what our bodies are doing, what our actions are doing, because it's not just about us. It's about the people that live in our community as well. And a community that has a whole bunch of people that don't consider the other safety at least equally as much as they consider their own. I mean, you have a formula for a society eroding over time. So I agree with you. Your personal actions should never cause any kind of harm or hurt to other people. All right. I think I'm going to leave that right there. I'm going to share some stuff with you guys, a little bit of, just in case for my people who are just jumping in as I'm about to hop off. All right. I want to share this with you guys. If you haven't, and you're looking, to consume some other content, I would say you guys can definitely go to my YouTube channel, and you can look at some of the shorter content. I think 38 minutes is not that long, but anyways, Daunte Wright, 20 years old. So this was my initial thoughts 12 hours ago. Obviously, things have been revealed that have made me come to some conclusions, but ultimately I've been denouncing rioters from the beginning. Whiteness couldn't hold her back. I'm telling you, they're talking about whiteness, white privilege, all this other stuff. All right. This one, I was really proud of this video because, man, we all have exposed these criminals. All right. I've done some work on critical race theory. I've been following the Derek Chauvin case. So Derek Chauvin, I have about 6 or 7 videos there, but I'm just showing you guys that so you're aware that my content is, it's not just live stream for those who have just jumped in. So I'm gonna go ahead and wrap it up there. Uber says, Ayo dog, throw that live YouTube party when you hit 1,000 subs. Do like a grill and chill vlog and eat some pizza, crack some cold ones open. So I'm actually sipping some wine tonight. All right, some Malbec. This is me and my wife's favorite wine, Malbec. We found it while we were eating at one of our favorite restaurants. And so, tonight I'm keeping it easy. Monday night, got to go to work tomorrow. And there's a lot going on. But you know what? What happens in this house is peace. What happens in this house is unity. What happens in this house is going to be in order. So my house is going to be in order while the world goes to crap. I'm going to drink some wine, enjoy my family while that happens. And I encourage you guys to do the same, because at the end of the day, all this stressing about what happens in the world, what happens outside of the four walls of your own home, leave it there. That's their mess. That's their mess. So on this channel, I just would encourage everybody to take care of your own. Be careful out there. Watch your back. Stay aware. God bless you guys. And Uber, I want to do a 1,000, but I can't do it right away because this is what's been happening. I'll go to, like, last night, for example, I hit 975 subscribers. I woke up this morning and it went back down to 967. So people subscribe, people leave. People subscribe, people leave. So Uber, it would be really funny if I did a live stream. Yeah, we made it to 1,000 subscribers, and then the next day 10 people unsubscribe because I said something stupid or something. So I'm gonna have to wait till I hit like a comfortable 1,000, like 1,100. Maybe we'll do a little vlog or something. But thank you, Uber, for your support. Duval in the house. Much love for my folk in Duval, Jacksonville, Florida. All right, so I'm going to leave that right there. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure you guys like, comment, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you're notified anytime I make a video. I will see you good people on the next one. God bless you. Stay safe out there. Peace.